Hello, everyone, and welcome to the next sidebar series as part of Album Fight Club. For the past couple, I've been doing my rankings of various artists, and this time I, kind of ran out. I was going through my vinyl collection and realizing that I kind of covered all the artists that I have their full discography or very close to their full discography for. And so doing another ranking as I have been doing, I could have done it, but I wouldn't have any sort of visual element to it, which I wasn't very keen on. Maybe as I progress through my collection and start to gather more things, I'll be able to eventually do that again. But one thing that's always been on my mind once I started collecting vinyl was ostensibly at some point showing off my collection. So that's what I'm going to start today and progress through eventually until I cover the majority, if not all, of my collection. And then in the future, once I do cover the whole collection, if I do in fact fully cover it, I'll be able to do like vinyl updates. Like, here's the vinyl I've gotten in the last 3 months or so, things like that. Um, Again, that's not to say that the rankings I've been doing previously for Sidebar are not going to eventually come back. Maybe they will, but for now, this is what the next Sidebar series is going to be for me. And so, as mentioned, this is going to be very much visual, much like the rankings of the previous Sidebars were. I will be showing off the vinyl I have in question. So for this case, that's what I would recommend doing, is watching the visual element as opposed to the audio element. But to start this off, I didn't really know how to tackle it. I've been collecting vinyl for the better part of 2-ish years now. And in that time span, I've collected, I think, over 150 vinyl at this point. I sort of fell into it and quickly just lost my mind to it. So what's going to happen here is largely just attempting to go through genres as opposed to like A through B and then C through D, because I really don't know how to tackle it. So I'm just going to do genre basis for this series of videos. And I wanted to start with my rap collection, the various vinyl records I have in the rap category, because that's something we haven't talked about at all yet in terms of Album Fight Club. So I don't have a ton. I'm looking at my stack here and I think I have at least 15 or so rap vinyls. But at one time, rap was actually I don't know if it was my favorite genre of music, but it was the one I was most like entrenched in. That was mainly when I was in college. It was when I really got into rap. And throughout all of college, I was very much just in the mode of listening to rap, engaging with modern rap. In my master's program, I actually built an entire course on the rhetoric and authenticity of hip hop. So for a good section of my 20s, I was like very much into and surrounded by the culture of like rap music and things that were going on. Less so lately. It's kind of just because I think rap has kind of, not that it's not producing anything of quality, but it just kind of wasn't as big to me as it was in the 2010s, as influential as it was. I think a lot of people would agree that the 2010s was like a golden age of rap, and we've since kind of moved past it, unfortunately. There's still people making great stuff in the rap category, but much of this you'll see is of that era, of that time period. So yeah, I'm just going to go through what I got and show off what I got as well. And I want to start with the record that actually got me into rap music fully and officially. It's actually one of my favorite records of all time, and that is Kendrick Lamar's Good Kid, Mad City. This album is, I really don't know how to describe it other than just suggesting that it's titanic, it's monumental. As I mentioned, it's the album that got me into rap music. Prior to this album, I was aware of rap. I knew some songs. Most of them, though, I didn't really see it as anything brainy, as heady, as something that actually talks about, quality material. I thought rap was not the place to do that. I thought rap was the place to talk about all the cars you own and all the women you have sex with, etc. And then I listened to Kendrick Lamar, and that whole perspective of what rap can be and what it can talk about completely shifted. Um, this thing is just god tier. If anyone knows this record, you know how good it is. And unfortunately, this is the only Kendrick Lamar vinyl I have. I'm not going to take a lot of them out of the slip sleeve and like show the vinyl off. It's black vinyl. It's a lot of these aren't that interesting. But I do want to talk about them and visually just show off what it is, even though in some cases there's not a lot to look at. But yeah, this record, every song on it is so good. I think the whole story it's telling is amazing. Sing About Me Dying of Thirst is probably my favorite rap song of all time. Just absolutely incredible storytelling, incredible musicianship, incredible just performance from Kendrick across the entire record. I wish I had To Pimp a Butterfly. I wish I had Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers, but for some reason, Kendrick's vinyl is like really expensive. I'm not saying like hundreds of dollars, but like, To Pimp a Butterfly's been out for years now, and I don't think I've ever seen it below 35 bucks anywhere. Which you may say, oh, that's nothing, but like, I probably got Good Kid, Mad City for like $22, maybe, if I remember correctly. This one you can get for relatively a decent price. Everything else in Kendrick's catalog, it's like kind of absurd. But I do love Kendrick. At one time, Kendrick was my favorite rap artist, kind of because he just was so influential to me in terms of like what this genre could do. And like I said, this is a top 5 record, easy. Some days it's my favorite record of all time, just for how much it expanded a genre of music for me. Prior to this moment, I was not really a fan of rap, and then I listened to this, and then rap suddenly became like my second favorite genre behind metal. That kind of speaks to how much this record does, how influential it is, how good it is. Really can't say enough. If you haven't listened to it, it's a worthwhile experience just to like say you've listened to it. But I promise you that if you're not a fan of rap, I would just give this a shot. I wasn't a fan of rap either, and then I listened to this thing, and my whole perspective just immediately changed. So, Good Kid, Mad City, incredible record. The other one, sorry, I'm trying to like break and put stuff in there. The other one I want to talk about in sequential order, because it's actually my other favorite rap record. Where Good Kid, Mad City was the record that got me into rap. If you know me well, you know my love, my absolute adornment for MF Doom, who is easily my favorite rap artist of all time. For many years, that was Kendrick. And then I really gotten into Doom's catalog and really explored what he was and what he did. And man, like, I'm not wearing the ring right now, but in certain videos you might have seen, I literally wear his mask on my finger as like a ring. I literally have a replica of his mask in my office at work. MF Doom is literally my idol when it comes to writing, basically. Now, when it comes to music in general, I think there's other people I'd probably put above MF Doom, but in terms of just like writing poetic lyrics and slinging rhyme schemes and just the way a person can make words work, MF Doom is just the top. He is the king of Mount Rushmore in that regard. And in particular, Mad Villain and Mad Villainy, this record is just, it's like some days it's my favorite record. Just like some days Good Kid, Mad City is my favorite. Some days Mad Villain is my favorite. And God, just the album cover is so evocative. It's so simple. It's just a silhouetted version of him with the mask on. But God, it's so good. There's just something about it. I've had this poster. I've had an image of this in my office, in my bedroom at one time in my life. Just like, it's so evocative, and I just appreciate, Mad Villain and MF Doom and Mad Lib, who was the other collaborator on this. One of the iconic duos that only did one record and then just called it quits after that. I'm not really sure why. I think all of us would have loved a Mad Villain 2. We never truly got it, although Mad Lib did release a Mad Villain 2, which was like, different beats and kind of, but it wasn't the true Mad Villain 2 we always wanted. Unfortunately, MF Doom died in 2020, so we'll probably never get it. But at least we have this. Again, this is another record where if you're not into rap music, that's fine. Rap music is not for everybody, but really I would urge you to listen to this record just to try it out. It's so experimental. It's so zany. It's so off the wall. Everything about it I just adore. This is a record I could put on anytime, anywhere, any place, any feeling and mood I'm in, and just like suddenly be okay. Because I've got this in my life, and it's just so good, and it's so beautiful, and I love everything about it. So whereas Good Kid, Mad City was the record that got me into rap, and I still value it highly, this is the record that kind of sold me on like how good rap can be, and lyricism and slinging rhyme schemes and stuff like that. I owe a lot to MF Doom. I think he's one of the greats, and unfortunately he's gone, but at least we have a very good catalog that exists beyond him, which is actually what I want to talk about next. So I own a couple of MF Doom records. Unfortunately, I don't own all of them. Hopefully, I will get there eventually, but I just want to go through the ones that I do have on vinyl. The first one being Mad Villain, of course, but the second being Victor Vaughn, Vaudeville Villain. So if you don't know MF Doom, you probably don't know that he actually rapped under different personas. Of course, there's MF Doom, there's Victor Vaughn. He was also King Ghidra on one album. This is my second favorite Doom project. A lot of people would say Food, which I'll get to in a second, and I do love that record. But for me, Vaudeville Villain is just Doom at his most like bombastic, his most braggadocio. Like he's just so funny and so good on this record. And Victor Vaughn as a character is like the younger, more wild Doom, whereas MF Doom, the character is more like old and grizzled and this like veteran of rap. Victor Vaughn's like this young wise guy, like kind of a douchebag, but you love him for it, kind of rap star. Um, so many good songs on this thing. I just love everything about it. I think of Can I Watch, the whole narrative that goes across Can I Watch, or Saliva, and it's just so much good stuff on this record that, and the features too are amazing on this one. I really love this thing. I really like it a lot. Obviously, to say that one Doom record is better than others is just kind of nonsensical, because to me all of Doom's records are pretty amazing. But for me, Mad Villain's at the top. Victor Vaughn or Vaudeville Villain is at number 2. What's at number 3, of course, is the one that I just mentioned, which is Food. A lot of people would say this is, if not his best, his second best, and I can certainly see why. It makes a lot of sense why people would get that perspective, but for me, I just sort of value it as a very, very good Doom record. It's the kind of thing where just so much that's going on with this is just so good, so crazy that he holds this food metaphor through the whole thing, and everything that he talks about in here has something to do with like a food product or eating and dieting. Beef rap in particular, the opening track is just crazy that he's running a food metaphor with also the rap industry and how, braggadocio and rapping occurs. It's just great. It's the kind of stuff that showcases why MF Doom was a genius and certainly one of the greats of his time and one of the greatest of all time in terms of rap. But I do have Food. This is actually one of the colored vinyl, the pink and green. I would take it out of the sleeve. I'm not going to do this one just because I want to keep it, somewhat regulated in terms of a good time cap for this video. But Food, I do have it. It's number 3 for me, not quite 1 and 2, but it is great, obviously. And I quickly realizing that I'm actually kind of ranking these, which wasn't my intention, but whatever. This next one, I'm not sure where I would rank it, but that's the Mouse and the Mask, the Danger Doom, MF Doom, and Danger Mouse collab. This one hasn't aged super well. The Adult Swim skits, because this was very like inundated with Adult Swim content, was kind of interesting, but I still love it for what it is. So I can certainly see how some people might have issue with that. And if you notice that the video just cut, that is because I had to do this off camera because it was kind of finicky. Is the cool thing about this vinyl is that, again, this is not playing for audio at all, but you can see there's like these Rorschach imagery for, this is one of the vinyl, this is the other one. They're in these separate casings. And when you put it into the sleeve that comes with the vinyl, you actually make the Rorschach imagery come together. So if you notice the blue one on the side, when I slip it in, suddenly it makes the image. That's really cool, right? It's cooler than just basic casing. And unfortunately, yes, the vinyl in this case is just black vinyl. So, there's nothing really cool there. But I'll take that if this is, because this is cool. I've never seen vinyl covering or slip cases do this. Every other one's just, it doesn't come with slip casing. This one does. So that's really cool. But yeah, in terms of Danger Doom and what's going on in this record, I think it's pretty awesome. I love what's going on here. Some songs, the skits kind of run long and they're kind of didn't age well, as I said earlier, but that's not to be said for anything against the songs on this record. I mean, Mincemeat is one of my favorite MF Doom songs. Some of the lines on here are some of my favorite Doom lines. The whole order a rapper for lunch and spit out the chain is something I quote ad nauseum, even though, not like I'm in the rap game or anything. It's just great. I love this record a lot. And, it usually doesn't get the props of like putting it in the higher echelon of Doom records, but I would certainly throw it up there. I think it's pretty awesome. And then finally, as far as Doom records I do have, again, I wish I had all of them, but as far as the ones I have currently, the final one will be Born Like This, which is one of Doom's latter records before, unfortunately, his passing. And then this is like 2008, 2009, if I'm not mistaken. There was a huge point in Doom's career where he just was doing side projects, doing other things. Yes, I wish he would have made more records in that time, but again, at least we have what he left behind. So this record, it's weird because he doesn't call himself MF Doom on this. He just called himself Doom, and he takes on a very like villainous persona. This is probably the most villainous that Doom has ever gotten on a record, which is really interesting for Doom playing up the whole villain thing. It's like if he knew this was going to be one of the last ones he ever did, which I'm not saying that's what it was, but this is like Doom at his most villainous and just teeth gnashing, fist throwing Doom we've ever seen. And again, some of the production on here, Lightworks with Jay Dilla is just absolutely insane. Rap Ambush, Ballskin, that's that. Just so much good stuff on here. That what's the one with the Godzilla? There's this one. It's like 2 parts. I can't believe I'm blanking on it. And unfortunately, the vinyl doesn't have the track listing. Unfortunately, but there's one in there that has like this God's. It might be Born Like This. It might be the track it's called, but maybe not. There's like this Godzilla beat that Doom is rapping over, and it's just so insane. It's so good. I love this record, and I love all of Doom's records, but you know, I keep saying that this was my idol of rap, and he was. I'm very sad to say that he's gone, but I'm also very happy to say that he's left behind such a great catalog of music that, you know, if I get sad about the fact that he's gone, I just turn it on and there he is again, right? He's just rapping like he used to, and that'll be forever. And that's a great thing, I think, that this kind of stuff can live on past somebody. So as far as my Doom catalog, that's what I have, and I'm grateful to have those records. I wish I had more, but we'll eventually get there. So now we're going to move on to other records I happen to have that fall into the rap camp. Some of them I have one, some of them I have multiples, but these are just various records I have that flow into the rap category. And the first one I want to talk about, besides Doom and Kendrick, is one that I have to give Anthony Fantano credit for, because if not for him, and yes, I had to put a little sticky note over it because this is the uncensored cover, I would probably not be a fan of Death Grips. I probably would never have been introduced to Death Grips if not for Anthony Fantano, as I think many of us probably would not be introduced to Death Grips if not for Anthony Fantano. I think a lot of the reason this band is as, this sounds awful to say, but really, I think a lot of the reason this band is as popular as they are, whether or not people like them or not, but as much as they are talked about, I think part of it has to do with Anthony Fantano. You can say what you want in response to that, but I think that's true. But that's not to say anything against the record itself. I mean, this is not a record I would recommend to everyone. If you are not a fan, and this is rap, technically it is rap, but it is the most left brain experimental shit you will probably ever hear in rap music. It is absolutely bananas. And I love every second of it. It is so just, it's ear candy. And it's very abrasive and aggressive and weird and avant-garde and kind of nasty at times, ear candy. But God, man, it just scratches an itch that just other stuff can't scratch. And this is my favorite Death Grips record. It's my only one that I have on vinyl. I wish I had like Bottomless Pit and No Love Deep Web, but I don't yet. Hopefully I get them eventually. But man, just some of the songs on here. I mean, Get Got, The Fever. The Fever is so fucking good. Hustle Bones, I've seen footage. System Blower. So System Blower, The Cage, and Punk Weight. That trio, production-wise, Flatlander's production on that shit is bananas. It is so crazy. It is so off the wall. I mean, it's one of those things, when I first heard it, I was like, what the fuck is this? I have never heard anything like this. And to the part and play of what's going on here, it's kind of the same thing of like, I've never heard anything like this, but God, I kind of love it. It's strange that I'm like enjoying this as much as I am. This is one I would recommend giving a try, but it's also one that if you've never heard it, you probably, if I had to guess, you're probably not going to like it. You have to be really deep into like music appreciation to kind of appreciate this thing. But if you do, if you can get over that wall, I promise you, this is some of the most like brain-eating music you will ever hear. It just like, it's so insane. It is so good. And like I said, it does technically fall under rap, even though it's so experimentally insane. I love it. Next, I have Bandana. Back to Madlib for a second, but this is Madlib and Freddie Gibbs. Now, this is a duo that we actually have multiple records of. The first record they did together was Pinata, which is my favorite of the two. I do love Bandana. I got this one for really cheap. I got it for like $18. And if there's any vinyl I see that I like that's under $20, I immediately snatch it. Pinata, unfortunately, is like the cheapest I found it is like $30, $35. So I'll probably eventually get it because I love the hell out of Pinata. But Bandana is also really good. It's Madlib's incredible production mixed with Freddie Gibbs' approach to rap, which is very different than MF Doom's approach to rap. But Madlib is such a genius on the production table that he really makes, he understands his rap artists he works with and then just picks beats that work for them. Um, and I love Freddie Gibbs anyway, so the marriage of these two is like chef's kiss. Um, but just the way that Madlib chooses Freddie Gibbs beats, it's not anything like Mad Villainy, but this is also probably the closest thing. Pinata is the closest thing to Mad Villain 2 we probably ever get. This is less Mad Villainy than Pinata is, but this is also a really great record. So I do have it. It is black vinyl, so there's nothing interesting to show other than the front cover and perhaps the back cover, which is that sort of zebra print that Pinata and Freddie Gibbs are so in love with. But it's a great record. If you haven't heard it, again, a worthwhile one. So now we get to the part of the video / recording where I talk about my Tyler the Creator records, because I'm a huge Tyler the Creator fan. I've loved his music ever since like the mid 2010s. That's not to say I don't like Goblin and Bastard and Wolf, but it really came about when he released Flower Boy that I sort of became a Tyler mega fan, because this record, man, just talk about an artist who really finds like the true artistry in themselves. And again, that's not to say that Goblin and Wolf didn't have that. I think Goblin and Wolf have good moments on them, but you listen to those records and then you listen to Flower Boy, and it's just like, it's almost a completely different artist. Like Tyler really opens up and becomes what I think he was always had the potential to do, which is really become a genuine, true creative and a true musical genius with Flower Boy. I love the narrative he's telling here. I love the direction he takes on this record. There's a lot of moments where it's really subdued and really quiet and really just like scathing and eye-opening. I mean, you listen to Garden Shed, you listen to November, really personal songs for Tyler the Creator, really personal songs that he's choosing to open up about and put it on wax in a genre of music, excuse me, in a genre of music that like usually wouldn't accept people like Tyler and what he feels and how he views the world and how he views sexual relationships. That's not really something you see in rap often, and yet he chooses to do it, and he goes there, and I think we're better for it. But what's funny about this record is that my favorite song is actually I Ain't Got Time, which is like the most standard rap song on here. It's braggy, it's like in your face, it's aggressive, it's hard hitting, and that beat is insane. It is so good. But again, the really poignant moments on here are the ones where he really opens up about how he feels and who he is. And I think from here on is where you really get Tyler the Creator being the true musical genius that he could always be. And I'm glad he finally hit that point. Because shortly after Flower Boy, we get Igor. Now, it's not entirely fair to say that this is rap. There's a lot of stuff on here that is just not rap. But I threw it in here anyway just to kind of put it in some camp. I probably could have saved it for like the pop R&B category if I eventually do that, which I think I have enough records to eventually do that. But I threw it in here just to talk about it because I'm talking about Tyler anyway, so might as well just talk about it here. Amazing. Probably my favorite breakup album of all time, which I don't know if that's a huge category of music, but as far as breakup albums and breakup narratives in music, this is probably my favorite one. Really, really interesting approach to how he talks about his point in this fictional relationship, assuming it is fictional. I don't know, maybe it is a real life thing that Tyler was exposed to. But just the way he tackles it and the way he approached the music and the production and not really, again, rapping on here. He could have rapped through this whole record and he chose not to. He chose to sing when he'll be the first one to tell you he's not a very good singer. And yet it works on this record. Songs like Puppet, I mean, A Boy is a Gun. There's so many good musical production, vocal moments on here. I mean, Earthquake obviously is the big single off this. It's a fantastic record. It's not my favorite. I think a lot of people would probably say this is Tyler's greatest moment musically. I still get that to Flower Boy, but this is clearly just another notch in the musical genius that is Tyler the Creator. And so he does Igor and then moves on to Call Me If You Get Lost, which we go back to the rap camp of music for Tyler the Creator. Which again, great. I think Tyler's a great rap artist. I love his voice. I love the way he flows on beats. So him returning to the rap genre and like true rap and grit is great. I have no problem with that. I'm sure his next record will probably be more Flower Boy, more Igor if I had to guess. But, you know, him returning to rap and putting off a fantastic performance on this record is pretty great and pretty awesome. Favorite song in here is probably Juggernaut, just because, again, the beat is unbelievable. Pharrell's verse on that is kind of off the wall and crazy for Pharrell, but he shows up and he does great. Um, the I can't believe and for some reason none of these records have the track listings on the back, which would be really great to help me out here. And maybe you'll say I should have done my research beforehand, but I just didn't. I just was like, okay, what genre am I going to talk about? Okay, rap, got it. I'll just pull all my rap records real quick. So I can't remember the name of the song offhandedly, but it's the one with like the samba beat and the one where he's like something about dance. You know what I'm talking about if you know the record. Love that song, really fun. There's a concert video of him doing that and the whole audience sings it and he's like taken aback and he's shocked and surprised, and it's one of those like beautiful moments where an artist knows they've made it, because the whole crowd is singing to his song, and that's just like awesome. It's really cool to see that, and it's also really cool to see that knowing where Tyler started to get to this point, and like he's finally got everything he wants and deserves being the great artist that he is. So very happy for Tyler, excited for much more music to come out. Can't wait for his next record. Those are the 3 Tyler records I have in my collection. So back to one-offs of just various random artists I have. Again, Kid Cudi could probably fall into the camp of not exactly rap, but on Man on the Moon 3, I think it's fair to say this is a rap record because he's rapping across this whole thing in a lot of moments. Kid Cudi, I have a real love-hate relationship with. Man on the Moon 1, love it. I think it's a classic. Man on the Moon 2, not so much. Indie Cud, not so much. Speeding Bullet to Heaven, do I really need to say anything? But then he comes out with Man on the Moon 3, and I'm not really hyped for it, and I'm not excited about it because, I mean, what's he going to do? What's he going to do to really prove to me that he's come back in the full swing? And man, does he come back in the full swing. I adore this record. I think I like this more than Man on the Moon 1, which is blasphemous, I know, to a lot of people, but just the journey of this album, I just love the whole way it goes through. I mean, side 1 in particular with Tequila Shots, Another Day, and She Knows This, just like in a row. Amazing. My favorite song on here is Heaven on Earth. I love that piano beat, that sort of like nightmarish, crawly beat that he does. It's really great. I think the record is a little long. It could probably do well without a song or two on it, but that's not a huge complaint. Just to show off, this is the orange vinyl one, which I'm not going to repeat time and time again that I like the fact that vinyl does this sometimes, but I like the fact that it's orange. And it actually just like messed with the lighting. That was really weird. But this is a great record. It's the only one I have of, well, that's not exactly true. It's the only solo Kid Cudi project I have. I would love to have Man on the Moon 1, but I haven't quite gotten it yet. But maybe one day. Love this record. It is a gatefold, so I'll just show off. Nice image of Kid Cudi there. So good stuff. Great record. So I was about to say that's the only Kid Cudi I have, but that's not exactly true because the only Kid Cudi solo I have is Man on the Moon 3, but I do actually have Kids See Ghosts, which is his collaboration with Kanye. I don't really want to talk about Kanye as a person. I just want to talk about Kanye as a musician. I think in the last couple years, Kanye's music has really shit the bed. I think he's made a lot of garbage. This is not one of them, though. This record is super short, but it does well with the time it gets. Is it my favorite Kanye project? Absolutely not. But in terms of the last 10 years or so, it probably is my favorite. I know a lot of people love The Life of Pablo. I'm not a huge fan of that record. I think it's got some of Kanye's best moments and some of Kanye's worst moments on it. Here, I mean, this is like, I don't think it's perfection. I don't think it's absolutely incredible, but I do love a lot of the stuff on here. I mean, Fourth Dimension, Reborn, love those songs. Really great stuff. And I think both Kanye and Kid Cudi show up on this record and do a lot of great stuff. Easily my favorite of the Montana sessions, I think is what they were called, when he released like those 4 albums or 5 albums. Yay, the album is fucking hot trash. Don't tell me that album's good. I don't want to listen to it. Jesus is King. I mean, I was pretty high on it when it came out because I think it's okay. I don't think it's amazing. I think there are some good songs on there, but there's also some real trash on there as well. Obviously, old Kanye is great Kanye. College Dropout, Late Registration, Dark Fantasy. I love those records. I like this record a lot. It's not one of my favorites, but I do have it on vinyl, so I just wanted to say that this is part of the collection. One that I was gunning for a while and then finally found a good, decent price on it was Beer Bongs and Bentleys, Post Malone. Another just classic record in my college days. This is towards the latter end of my master's degree when this came out. And I got to tell you, college parties when this thing came out, they only really it felt like every party I went to was just bumping beer bongs and Bentleys because you just listen to this record and it's such a party anthem record. It's got so much good stuff on it, so much good quality songs. Um, Spoil My Nights, Rockstar, Psycho, Better Now, Ball for Me, like just so many good, great party songs to just hang out, drink. That song's playing in the background. It sets the vibe, it sets the tone. Really great, just like strong, vibey record, party anthem record. And easily my favorite Post Malone record. I think Post Malone's later stuff after this was good, but none of it quite hit like Beer Bongs and Bentleys. I think this record is fantastic. Say what you will about Post and his representation in rap music, but like he's very popular and he's very famous in the rap game for what he does, and I think this record speaks to that. Plus, he's a huge Magic the Gathering fan, which I'm a huge Magic the Gathering fan, so that's more points in my book for him as well. So, only got 3 records left in terms of rap. I don't have a huge rap collection, but I do have a bit of a collection here, so I just want to rattle these off. Culture 3, the Migos. I actually picked this up at my local record store on record day because they didn't have Culture 1. If they had Culture 1, I would snatch it because Culture 1 is probably my favorite mumble rap record of all time. Culture 1, top to bottom, is perfection. It's so good. Culture 3 is not quite perfection top to bottom, but I do like it more than Culture 2, which may be blasphemous to some, but Culture 2 is just like it's 10 songs too long. There's like 26 songs on that record. It's like, dude, do we need 26 songs on this? This one's got, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This one's a lot too. You could probably shave off a song or two here, but at least it's not like 26 or whatever. It feels much shorter than Culture 2 does. And on top of it, I think this just has more great tracks on it. I mean, Straightening, dude. So, I mean, really, the first 3 songs, Avalanche is amazing. Probably my favorite opener to any Migos record. Having Our Way is probably my favorite Drake feature of all time. And there's a lot to choose from, but I love that feature that Drake gives on that one. And then you get to Straightening, which such a banger, such a good song. And then plenty of other good songs in here. I love Vaccine. It uses the Nutcracker theme for some reason, but it like does it in a really cool way. It's really strange. Um, it's good. I like it a lot. I don't think it's their best. If you pair this up with Culture One, it's really no contest. But I do have it. I wish I had Culture One. I do not, but maybe one day I will. Continuing the conversation of can we separate the artist from the art, we have Travis Scott, Rodeo. Travis Scott as a person, I think he handled the whole Astro World disaster thing really poorly. I don't think he really did that with any sort of tenacity or, empathy for the people that lost their lives. So that's really unfortunate. And I think that he kind of screwed that up pretty badly. Does that take away from how much I love Rodeo? No, I'm sorry to say it doesn't. I love this record. I think it's amazing. You want to talk about like a party anthem record? You throw this thing on, that's all you need at your party. Just throw this on. When it gets to the last track, just start it over again, and you'll be good for the next 5 hours because this thing has so many good songs on it. It's basically a progressive rap album. Like if Pink Floyd did rap, it would be Rodeo, which I know sounds absurd to say, but when you really think about it, that's what he's basically doing here. The shifts that occur in these songs. I mean, you look at a song like 90210. The first half of that song is so vastly different than the second half, and it's so crazy that as different as they are, they just match up so well. This thing's amazing. Nightcrawler is one of my favorite Travis Scott songs. That's a song that, like, if I had to pick one from this record, that's probably my favorite, but that doesn't take away from any of this stuff. I mean, you've got Oh My Diss Side on this, 3005, Antidotes on here, Maria, I'm Drunk. Like, you've got so many good songs on here. And again, when I think of college and my time in college, this is a record that usually comes up in my memory because this was another one that when this thing came out, you couldn't really escape it. And it was a good reason you couldn't escape it because it's as good as it is. And to close it out, the last one I have, you will not be able to see on camera because it's pretty much impossible to even see in person. I'll even take the slip cover off, and that's Trap Soul by Bryson Tiller. Sorry, I'm messing with my slip cover. One of my favorite mixtapes ever. It's very hard to see as you can't even see the cover, but it's kind of made that way anyway. Um, really incredible work here. And what's strange is that everything after this I really don't care for in terms of Bryson Tiller's discography. Trap Soul's really the only one I like in Bryson Tiller's catalog. And not even to say I like it, I love it. I love this mixtape. Um, I don't know why. Nothing else that he ever released, and maybe that'll be the case for future releases if he chooses to do any more. But this one really hit me, and there's so many like good songs on here. You got Rambo on here, Let Him Know, Don't, probably his most famous song. My favorite though, my favorite Bryson Tiller song by a mile is Sorry Not Sorry. That like Street Fighter 2 sample he does on the beat, oh my god, and the bass, it is ridiculous. It is absolutely insane. Love everything about it. So yeah, it's strange that you can't really see the cover, but here's the back if you were so interested. Black vinyl kind of just slipped out, so nothing interesting, of course, but it's a good record. Glad to have it in my discography because again, this was relatively cheap when I got it, maybe 17, 18 bucks, so I couldn't really pass it up. And as of now, that is the various albums I have in my collection that are of the rap genre in the rap camp. Um, Obviously, I hope to have more in the coming days and months and years, but for now, that's what it is. So this is part one of my vinyl collection. I hope to get to various other genres, including metal, pop, classic rock, because there's a lot of records I can talk about. Like I said, in the last 2 years, I've probably collected over 150 vinyl, which is absurd, of course, but it just is what it is. I don't know. So future videos, future sidebars, when I'm up to them, will cover that stuff. So be sure to be on the lookout for them. Thanks for listening or watching, and do take care.